When did you think there was something different about Lexi?
I would say 18 months. Even as an infant, she always carried a lot of weight under her chin. And also her hunger didn't seem normal to me. I felt like she was hungry all the time. The pediatrician that I had at the time, his answer was always, stop feeding her McDonald's. And I'm like, I'm not. I have tried everything: Atkins, portion control, sugar control, carb control, any type of exercise, and nothing is changing for her. I was scared that I was gonna outlive this child, and I knew that we had to do something different.
Welcome to Small Town America. I'm here to meet a family that's looking for help for one of their children. Their daughter Lexi, like millions of other American kids, is living with obesity. 42% of Americans now classify as obese, a rate that's doubled since the 1980s. It's a growing health crisis, and families are now turning to extreme treatments like surgery and experimental medicines to help their children.
What we've done for so many of these kids, we've changed them from being an outcast to just being another kid.
But as the world's richest nation gets bigger,
Booty shake slow, booty shakes fast.
some believe that being heavy isn't a big problem.
Fat people have the right to exist without shame, stigma, bullying, or oppression, period.
The sleepy town of Port Deposit in Maryland has little more than 600 residents. But they haven't escaped an epidemic that's affecting over 15 million American kids.
Hi. Lexi. And nice to meet
Nice
you.
is it to meet you. Hi. Hi, sweetheart. Hi, Reese. Hi, Brad.
nice to meet
Thank
you.
you so much for having me at your home.
You're very welcome.
Lexi is 13. She has class 3 obesity, a chronic condition formerly known as morbid obesity.
She was my smallest baby, completely normal size. But as she got older, it definitely saw a big difference.
So this is your room, Lexi?
Yeah.
This is so cool.
From the age of 4, Lexi developed an insatiable hunger and began rapidly gaining weight.
Those are from when I played soccer before my muscle pain started getting really bad.
By her 12th birthday, Lexi weighed 116 kilograms, around 3 times more than the average American girl her age.
It's definitely upsetting. You see your friends, they can run and do all sorts of things and you can't. Like they get cute clothes and I'm stuck with ugly stuff that has like grandma patterns on it.
Please don't tell me I'm wearing grandma
No, you're not
pattern.
wearing the grandma pattern.
Okay, so dinner time.
Yes.
What are you cooking tonight?
Tonight I am doing ham, broccoli, and potatoes.
Okay, so let's get prepping.
All right.
Obesity has long been linked to diet, exercise and socio-economic factors. But recently, Lexi discovered that something else was behind her weight gain.
I have a genetic condition called MC4R, which means the hungry receptor in my brain doesn't fully know that I'm full, so I could be stuffed, but I'd keep eating. So,
Because your brain's telling you that you're not full.
yeah.
Kids with a malfunctioning gene called MC4R grow faster and larger than their peers. Their brains keep them in a constant state of hunger, which leads to overeating and weight gain. Recent studies suggest that genetic disorders could determine around 70% of a child's body weight.
What's it like to always feel hungry?
Exhausting would be, because you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're starving. You could be in the middle of having a conversation and you're hungry. You could be on the phone with someone doing something important and you're hungry. It's like you're trapped in your body, like the body that you don't want and it's not yours.
Have people ever bullied you or judged you because of your size?
All the time. It's really, especially in middle school, is having lunch, anything to do with food. Don't even get me started, they'll just be glaring at me. Whispers. Kids have sent me pictures of food and tell me don't eat my phone and stuff, like it's really bad.
Really?
Yeah.
So they send you pictures to your phone?
Kids used to send me death threats a lot.
Death threats?
Yeah.
What would they say?
Tell me to kill myself and nobody would miss me.
Really? So that would come through like on your phone?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so cruel. I just want her to be happy. More than anything, I've watched her struggle for 13 years. I'm sorry. I have 3 children that I feed the same, and only one of them is struggling. So I started just Googling options for childhood obesity, just to see what was out there. And it mentioned the surgery.
18 months ago, Lexi had bariatric surgery, an operation which removed 80% of her stomach, making her physically incapable of overeating. At the time, she was only 12.
At first, I was instantly like, no. Like, that's such a drastic thing. I'm making a medical decision that's permanent for her. You can't go back. There is no reversing this. But I was so terrified that she was going to end up as one of those 600-pound people by the time she was 20, and the detriment to her health that would have on her. So I knew in my heart this is what I needed to do. So for Alexis, I definitely try to do a smaller portion than I would generally give anyone else.
Since the surgery, Lexi can only eat 3 to 4 mouthfuls of food before she feels full.
Here you go, baby. Let's start with that. Yeah. There you go.
She'll have to eat tiny meals like this for the rest of her life. And are you chopping up the ham into little bits so that you kind of can have smaller bites and feel like you're eating for longer?
Yeah, and it's easier for me to eat and digest too, so it's easier on my stomach.
Such a drastic choice for a child seems extreme. But soon after her surgery, Lexi lost a staggering 29 kilograms.
Yeah. I was kind of like amazed. I was kind of like, whoa, that's crazy. I'm still kind of shocked to this day, and I've had it was like 18 months ago, and I'm still just like, what?
When I started to see the weight come off and just see her come alive, it blew my mind. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm hopefully giving her a future she can live a happy, healthy life.
The idea of weight loss surgery on children raises a lot of questions. But across the United States, many families are making the same choice. Between 2010 and 2017, the number of American children who had bariatric surgery nearly doubled.
Current data suggests that children with the most severe form of obesity is actually increasing faster than any other segment of the epidemic. Obesity surgery, bariatric surgery, the effects are health, right? Improved health.
In nearby Washington, D.C., I've come to meet a man who believes even more children should be getting surgical treatment for obesity.
Evan, lovely to meet you.
Hi, Kumi. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me. I love your
Dr. Evan Nadler is one of America's leading paediatric surgeons. He performed Lexi's operation.
I've been doing weight loss surgery or obesity surgery in children since 2004. The youngest person I've performed surgery on was 4, and I've done more pediatric bariatric surgery than anyone in this country who just focuses solely on children.
How does bariatric surgery work?
For adults, and for children in the United States, there are mainly 2 operations. The laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy, which is the most common procedure that we perform for children and adolescents with obesity. What we do is, using a stapling device, we remove about 80 to 90% of the stomach, which allows patients to get full after 5 or 6 bites of food. Most adults would be offered gastric bypass. In this procedure, we use a stapling device not only to make a small pouch, but also to reroute your intestines so that a portion of your intestines are skipped when food is eaten and thus doesn't get digested or absorbed, which leads to more weight loss. And so the surgery, especially sleeve gastrectomy, works in large part by helping them change their behavior because we've taken away the hunger.
The research surrounding bariatric surgery paints a positive picture. Within 3 years, the average patient observes a 50 to 70% reduction in overall body weight, along with improved cardiovascular health and resistance against type 2 diabetes, a disease that 1 in 10 Americans now have. When it comes to the treatment of childhood obesity, the American Association of Pediatrics recently updated its guidelines for the first time in 15 years.
How have the guidelines changed?
The AAP is now recommending medical treatment for obesity for patients as young as 12 years of age and surgical treatment for obesity for patients as young as 13.
What do you think about adults consenting to surgery for children? Are there any issues associated with that?
For me personally, if your weight is negatively affecting your health, then, and I have a procedure that can fix that, then I offer it. If you had cancer, no one talks about should this patient be eligible to have their cancer removed. We just do it. It's only in obesity where we talk about all these different criteria. And much of it is, I think, unfortunately, due to the stigma and bias around the disease of obesity.
Bariatric surgery may offer a compelling treatment option, but it's expensive, costing patients an average of 35,000 Australian dollars for a single procedure.
Have you talked to Mr. G lately?
Yeah.
And on top of that, it doesn't always work.
When did you notice that Lexi was gaining weight again and those kind of hungry feelings came back?
So at 6 months, I noticed not necessarily the weight gain, but she was starting the hunger, definitely. That the portions were getting a little bigger and a little bigger. At 9 months is when I really started to notice, okay, she's starting to put the weight back on.
It'd be nice to see Dr. Taylor again.
Yeah.
In the past few months, Lexi's regained 9 kilograms and her hunger has returned.
Because of my genetic marker, even though I had the surgery, that it doesn't really affect the change in your brain.
Yeah. So you learned that it was like your brain not being able to tell your body that it's full.
Yeah, it's just kind of a thing that we're gonna have to deal with, so.
Hello, I have Alexis here for her appointment with Dr. Taylor.
Because I thought they went wrong.
Brandy and Lexi have come to the Children's National Hospital in Maryland to see paediatrician Dr. Brittany Taylor, a specialist in obesity treatment.
Hi guys, how are you? Good, how are you? Good.
Further surgery may be an option for Lexi.
You're starting to feel like you can eat the same amount you did prior to surgery.
Yeah.
But Dr. Taylor is pursuing the weight loss treatment that has everyone talking.
I think the next thing we would talk about is trying one of the weight loss medicines. So that would be your Wegovy's, Saxenda's, Ozempics. I kind of put you guys on the waiting list for any that were available. So
Dr. Taylor is trying to access a drug called semaglutide, more commonly known as Ozempic and Wegovy.
They're both semaglutide, so they're the same ingredient, but they are FDA approved for different purposes. So Wegovy is the one that is FDA approved and has been studied for weight loss. The dosage and how you go up is different from Ozempic, which is FDA approved for diabetes.
In the US, the use of weight loss drugs is now recommended for children 12 years and older. Studies in adolescents found that a weekly injection of semaglutide, along with diet and exercise, reduced a subject's body weight by 16% in 18 months.
It's very exciting, and these medications have the real potential they're helping individuals lose weight, but also kind of helping to improve and reverse some of the comorbidities that individuals are experiencing as a result of their weight.
Ozempic, basically it replaces hormones, so helps my brain a little bit with the MC4R deficiency. So hopefully lose more weight and maybe me a little bit skinnier, healthier. My expectations aren't super high, but they're not on the ground either, so they're kind of in the middle. I just don't know what to expect at this point.
What is certain for American patients is the hefty price tag. A monthly supply of Wegovy costs around 2,000 Australian dollars, and patients must stay on it indefinitely to maintain their results. That's if they can find some.
One of the biggest barriers right now is medication shortages. So many of these medications are on a nationwide shortage where even if your insurance does cover it, that you're not able to access because there's just not the demand is outpacing the supply.
I'm excited to try the Ozempic or one of the injectable medications for her. I feel like it's a good chance for her to have a good result, but I'm also nervous at the same time. It's another chemical you're introducing to the body, and I'm scared for the adverse reactions.
Nausea, stomach pain, diarrhea and vomiting are common, and some users have developed thyroid tumours, suicidal thoughts and kidney failure. Ozempic has also been linked to 2 deaths, which authorities are now investigating. In California, the land of the buff and the beautiful, there's a growing movement that believes the weight loss industry is pushing a poisoned pill.
Fat people have the right to exist without shame, stigma, bullying, or oppression. It doesn't matter why we're fat. Fat people have the right to exist in peace and to have full access and accommodation in the world, period.
Regan Chastain is a writer, researcher and advocate for body neutrality, basically accepting your body no matter what. For her, the most dangerous problem facing larger people is stigma.
Weight stigma creates discrimination in every area of people's lives. We know from research that higher weight people get hired less, paid less, and promoted less than similarly qualified thin people. We know that within medical care there's tremendous discrimination. It can cause misdiagnoses for higher weight people when instead of investigating and finding out that someone, for example, has cancer, they simply say, oh, try losing weight and see if you don't feel better after that. So it causes delayed diagnosis, delayed care. And then those impacts are blamed on higher weight bodies and not on the delayed diagnosis or care.
In the past, Regan tried weight loss through diet and exercise, but ended up yo-yoing and developed an eating disorder. Now she and a group of like-minded activists have a very different goal.
All right, everybody, we're going to get started. Get up off your booties. Let's go do this thing. This is our shame-free shake. Let's go.
They run fitness and education programs encouraging larger people to simply move their bodies
Heel jacks now.
instead of trying to lose weight.
Booty shake slow. Booty shakes fast. Come on now.
I had done all of these weight loss interventions prescribed by doctors for years, and what I found was there wasn't a single study where more than a tiny fraction of people was actually succeeding at significant long-term weight loss. What I found was strong research that showed that most of the cardiometabolic risk factors that are associated with being higher weight were attenuated or eliminated by moderate to high levels of physical activity.
Woo!
And so we see behaviors are a far better predictor of current and future health than is weight or weight loss.
The message that big can't mean healthy is a myth that Regan is out to challenge. She currently holds the Guinness World Record for the heaviest person to finish a marathon.
For me, I enjoy doing fitnessy things. I was a competitive ballroom dancer. I moved on to do endurance sports, some marathons, triathlon. It's incredibly common that people assume that I'm participating in fitness to lose weight and will congratulate me or say, keep at it and you'll lose that weight. And my typical response is to say, what weight?
I always wanted to be an exercise teacher, but I thought I couldn't do it until after I was thin.
Reagan and her friend Jeanette say they're living proof that it is possible for bigger people to lead healthy and fulfilling lives.
It gave other people permission to just come in and do their thing.
Yeah.
For them, the changes in the obesity guidelines for children and adolescents are frightening.
I think they're deeply problematic. I think they're going to hurt a lot of kids.
What concerns you about them?
The AAP is funded by drug companies whose drugs their guidelines recommend. They're recommending intentional weight loss to kids as young as 2. We know from research that most people lose weight and gain it back. Up to 66% of people end up regaining more than they lost. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being fat or becoming fatter. I think there's something seriously wrong with something that's considered a healthcare intervention that's prescribed to 70% of the population, now starting at the age of 2, that has the opposite of the intended effect the majority of the time.
How do you feel about parents consenting for weight loss surgery on kids?
For me, I think that what these surgeries do at their root is they take a correctly functioning, healthy digestive system and they surgically mutilate that digestive system for life. And they mimic behaviors that would be considered eating disorder behaviors. But for higher weight kids, it's considered healthcare. And that is the wrong message under any guise.
So we're not altering a healthy digestive system. We are providing a treatment and cure for metabolic disease. And so what we've done for so many of these kids, we've changed them from being an outcast with a disease that you can see from across the street to just being another kid.
We've spoken to advocates who say their size is fine and they don't want to change their body. What would you say to that?
I have no objection to the body positive movement, but healthy at any weight has to mean healthy. It can't mean I have insulin resistance at this weight, because that's not healthy. And they're actually, the number of patients who have weight issues who are truly 100% healthy and have no effect of their weight is actually quite small.
Do you think there is an obesity crisis in America?
I don't. To suggest that people simply existing are a crisis or a problem or should be eradicated is deeply troubling.
Today, 1 in 5 kids in the United States is clinically obese. Recommending weight loss surgery for children with the disease has proven controversial.
We saw him about a year ago, but it's been about 18 months.
But for some American families, it's been a success story.
Hi. Hi. It's been so long.
How are you?
Great.
Hey,
So
sweetie.
nice
How are
to
you guys
see
doing?
you.
I'm fine.
14-year-old Stasia had bariatric surgery a year and a half ago with Dr. Nadler.
But things have been good?
Yeah,
You're happy?
basically.
Healthy?
I would hope so.
After reaching 111 kilograms at age 12, Stasia has now lost 45 kilos. That's around 40% of her body weight.
It still amazes me when I find a size of clothing that I've never tried on before, and then it fits, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. It's exciting to do that.
She very much enjoys her new image, and her confidence is just different. And she smiles a lot, a lot.
What made you look at the surgical option for your daughter?
I mean, I am probably one of the biggest cheerleaders in this arena. It comes a lot from just having the surgery myself and understanding what differences it made for me.
With a family history of obesity and diabetes, Stasia's mum Stacey had a gastric bypass at the age of 20 and has maintained a healthy weight ever since. When she heard surgery could be an option for her daughter, she took it.
For Stasia, it wasn't in my mind, what she may look like in a year or 2 years or 5 years. It was what her body was not going to go through and what pressures it wasn't going to put on our heart, what it wasn't going to do to our lungs, what it wasn't going to do to the other body parts that you don't realize, right? So there's so many things her body didn't have to go through. And I, would have loved to have had this when I was 12, right?
You could say bariatric surgery now runs in the family. Stasia, her mum, grandmother, uncle and aunt have also had the procedure.
Yes.
Stasia, though, is the only one to do so in childhood.
We just want you to be a healthier, happier version of yourself, which I think you are. I don't know if you'd agree to that. Would you agree? Yeah, sort of.
Teenager, so.
While her prognosis seems promising, there haven't been any long-term studies on the physical or psychological effects of weight loss surgery on children.
Obesity is a chronic disease. It may require different interventions down the road, but like any other disease, we just deal with it.
For patients like Stasia, surgery has been a game changer. But when it fails...
Hi, Alexis or Lexi, I don't know what you're going by these days. Lexi?
Yes. It can leave families desperate to find other answers.
So the surgery alone never really 100% controlled your hunger?
Yeah.
Okay.
We discussed Ozempic as a possibility for her. How do you feel about that?
If Lexi didn't have the gene defect, I would say for sure it'll likely work. But with the genetic situation going on, we don't really know.
For Lexi, the road to a smaller version of herself remains long, with no clear end in sight.
The good news is there are more drugs in development that are even maybe more powerful than semaglutide. Those could be an option too.
Okay.
For America, even experts admit the country isn't close to solving its obesity problem.
They're so laser focused on changing the weight of kids that they've lost the focus on supporting their health. Once you say the only thing we're willing to look at is changing the weight of kids, then you end up in a really dangerous area.
Ow, it got stuck in my hair.
For now, the Lexis of America will remain trapped between a world that wants them thin and bodies that won't let them.
The world isn't one size fits all. There is more than just being a stick-thin supermodel. But also, my biggest thing is her health, just keeping her healthy.
I've been told it's not my fault, but sometimes it feels like my fault. I don't think anybody should be judged on their weight because it's honestly just not fair.
When you imagine the best version of Lexi out there in the world, what do you see?
Somebody who's happy. I just want to be happy.
Just so happy. You look like a happy person.
If you or someone you know needs support or advice, you can contact Butterfly Foundation or Lifeline